horrible. No, you shouldn't go near grains. No. So after the raw beef, then I have some raw milk with a bit of raw honey and sometimes some dates. And then I have some cheese, but not processed. Well, it's as unprocessed as it can be. And then I have some organic colloidal silver, which I can sell you if you like. I can highly recommend it because it's very, very detoxifying.
You are listening to the Why Smart Women podcast, the podcast that helps smart women work out why we repeatedly make the wrong decisions and how to make better ones. From relationships, career choices, finances, to faux fur jackets and kale smoothies. Every moment of every day, we're making decisions. Let's make them good ones. I'm your host, Annie McCubbin, and as a woman of a certain age, I've made my own share of really bad decisions. Not my husband. I don't mean him, though. I did go through some shockers to find him. And I wish this podcast had been around to save me from myself. This podcast will give you insights into the working of your own brain, which will blow your mind. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm recording and you are listening on this day. Always was, always will be, Aboriginal land.
So today I'm going to interview Orca Sagittarius. Who is Orca Sagittarius, you may ask? Well, Orca is my alter ego. She's a spinfluencer, which is an influencer with a spiritual selling point. I created Orca because I'm in a perpetual effort to counter the nonsense that is sold as spiritual, nutritional, medicinal advice from people that have access to a ring light, a lot of misplaced confidence and products to sell. The dietary advice I see online is truly astounding. And when you combine that advice with promises that said diet can cure diseases, it's truly dangerous. This rise of the influencer comes hand in hand with the diminishment of science-based medicine, which leaves followers of said influencers with beliefs which can endanger them and their families. Every idea that Orca expresses in this interview has been uttered by someone trying to sell something on the internet. Okay, enjoy as I interview myself. So, hello, Orca, and thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. My absolute pleasure, Annie. I am so happy to be here. It's very, very nice of you to give me your time because I know that you're very, very busy with your own website. I am very busy, Annie, trying to spread the message, but I'm very, very happy to be talking to you today. Your hair looks lovely. So I guess the first question is, Orca, how did you get into the spinfluencer space? Well, I've been talking to my guide since I was, 9. I just didn't know what they were. They just thought, my parents, etc., thought that I was like a kooky kid. So you're saying that you have guides? Yeah, I have guides, and they do in fact advise me. They talk to me and they tell me what I should do. And sometimes they tell me things and I'm like, whoa, that's pretty strange. Like I met my husband, Chad, in Japan, and they were the ones, my guides, that told me where to go and what street to go to and where to stand. And they were right. There he was standing on the street. And I was like, okay, you were right, guys. It's amazing. We all have that capacity, just some of us are plugged in. Okay, so you're saying you have guides who advise you. Oh, yeah. They advise me, and they're there for everybody. Just that we're very, very, defended against this sort of spiritual aspect of our lives. Annie, there's two sides to a brain. And we're just not aware of the other side. So we're aware that there's the sort of decision-making side, and then there's the spiritual side. And if you can just, have them both in a sort of active space, then that's when you start to make really, really interesting, intuitive decisions. Oh, okay. So could you give me an example of I don't know, something that your guides have advised you to do? Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, so one thing they advised me to do, and it was a bit of a surprise, was to buy a 2021 Tesla. I wasn't even looking for a Tesla at the time, or in fact another car. In fact, I drive a Rolls Royce. But they said, no, okay, it's time to modernize. And they told me where to go. And they even told me the dealership, and I went. I had to drive to Wagga Wagga to pick it up. It's a very, very nice car. Yeah, so that's one of the things that they're doing. They're constantly advising on my sort of financial decisions. So just to clarify, your guides are supporters of Elon Musk? Well, Elon has some very interesting connections, can we say? Interesting in what way? Well, you've heard of the deep state. Well, I've heard people talk about it on the internet. I don't really know what it is. Do you want to tell me what it is? Okay, the deep state. It's a secret network of governments. It's like a secret network of governments and financial organizations and industrialists who run the world. Well, you know, Hillary Clinton, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. They're all, in fact, at the end of the day, lizard people. I'm sorry? Yeah, they're lizards. It's commonly known in the community I move in. And you said it's a secret network. Yeah, it's a secret. It's not very secret, is it? Because we're talking about it. No. We know, the people in the know. So just let me get this right. So all the governments in the world are cooperating with these financial institutions to secretly run things. Yeah, it's like really, really dangerous. So you've got to be very, very careful. You know, the water and everything. I'm sorry? You know, they can definitely contaminate the water. Okay, so we'll get back to the water issue. I looked on your website and you're very firm on what people should be eating. Yeah, well, I believe we come from the earth. So we should eat from the earth. When you say eat from the earth? Yeah, absolutely, eating dirt. Okay. So would you like to hear my day on a plate? Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to hear your day on a plate. So I start the day with a handful of dirt. Okay, wait. Do you just, wherever you are, you just pick up a handful of dirt? Of course, it's Mother Earth. She provides me with what I need. Okay. Good. And then what? And then I eat grass-fed raw beef. Hang on, you eat your beef raw? Of course, we should be eating our meat raw. I don't know where this idea came from that we should be cooking our meat. Well, I think there's some evidence that the actual cooking, the discovery of fire and the cooking of food and that uptick in calorific intake actually help the human brain to develop. Yeah, that's just not right. Okay, well, there's quite a bit of scientific evidence of that. No, that's wrong. So let's go back to what I eat, my day on a plate. So I eat grass-fed raw beef. You got to make sure it's grass-fed. We don't want any grains. You get grain, brain, drain. You get what? With grain, that's what you get. So grains are no good for your brain? Yeah, absolutely. The grains are no good for the brain. Terrible. No, you shouldn't go near grains. No. So after the raw beef, then I have some raw milk with a bit of raw honey and sometimes some dates. And then I have some cheese, but not processed. Well, it's as unprocessed as it can be. And then I have some organic colloidal silver, which I can sell you if you like. I can highly recommend it because it's very, very detoxifying. If I can just interrupt, do you eat any vegetables or fruit? Oh, absolutely not. Vegetables are full of thallium. Vegetables will give you toxic metal poisoning. They're terrible. They get caught in the bloodstream. This thallium gets into the blood and hooks onto the cells, and then it reduces all the calcium in your bloodstream and makes you prone to liver disease and kidney stones and bone breakages. Oh, okay. So no vegetables, just raw meat and raw milk. That's right, Annie. You should try it. I mean, you're going to feel $1,000,000. I've got to admit, I feel a little bit nervous about eating, raw meat and raw milk, because we do know that I know in milk there's been people that have been very, very, very ill because it's unhomogenized and unpasteurized, and the bacteria in it has made them really, really ill. And I think the same with meat. I mean, I don't know that our systems really are set up to be having all this sort of raw meat and raw milk. Oh, Annie. Who have you been listening to? Your doctor? Yes, I do go to the doctor, and I listen to his advice. Well, that's your first mistake. Okay, well, let's just leave the doctor issue aside for a minute. I believe you use an alkaline water system. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. That is correct. I should have said that before. Before I have my hands full of dirt, I do start the day with a big glass of alkaline water. The system that I use is only $5,000, and I can get you a discount if you'd like to buy one. And I cannot tell, probably at least $50 off. And I cannot tell you it's worth every single cent, and I'm getting another filtration system put in, because it's very, very important that what comes out of a shower as well is not full of toxins and hormones and chemicals. So I'll get into that in a minute. But I get my big glass of alkaline water from my filtration system, which I can sell to you, and a big squeeze of lemon juice. It's very alkaline. So you want things that are alkaline? Yeah, well, that's right, because we want to balance the pH. Okay, but the research says that what you eat and drink has actually very little effect on your pH. Well, there you go again, Annie. If you want to actually cure these deadly diseases, we need to have an alkaline environment. For instance, cancer can't live in an alkaline environment. If you want to cure cancer, we should only be eating and drinking alkaline things. So cancer is, as I understand it, a very, very complex disease, and there's so many different cancers. It's not like it's just one thing, is it? No, it's not one thing, but underneath, the basis of cancer is simple. Cancer is a combination of spiritual, emotional, and dietary. Okay, what do you mean by that? Because my understanding is that it's actually very complex. It's really not that complicated, but Big Pharma and doctors make it complicated. Okay, look, I'm no doctor, but the statement cancer can't live in an alkaline environment, I think, has been thoroughly debunked. What can I tell you, Annie? My friend Janine, what can I tell you? She cured herself of cancer. She did it by changing her diet and having a spiritual practice. You know that anecdotes don't actually have any weight. We don't know if Janine actually had cancer, or if Janine got better, or why Janine got better. There was no controls. Well, no one's going to convince someone cynical like you. I'm not cynical, I'm skeptical. Well, from where I'm sitting, they look the same. Well, they're not. Cynicism is an inclination for people to be motivated by self-interest, like no one does anything out of kindness. Skepticism is different. It's just not believing things on face value. It's seeking evidence. So what's wrong with tap water? It has hormones, chemicals, fluoride, toxins. No, it doesn't. Sydney tap water is incredibly safe. It's rigorously tested and monitored. The result is some of the best drinking water in the world. It sounds to me like you're selling solutions to problems that don't exist. To protect our teeth. I mean, the prevalence of dental caries since fluoridation is down 26 to 44%. Fluoride is not natural. Fluoride is a naturally occurring mineral. And how do you know that? It's common knowledge, Orca. Look it up. It's poison, Annie. Why are we putting poison in our systems? Everything can be poisonous, Orca. Water can be poisonous if you drink enough of it. It depends on the dose. Toxicity is to do with dose. Well, for my money, I would really like not to have toxins in my body, which is why I assiduously detox as often as I can. Detox, 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 detox. Colonics, alkaline water, lemon juice. First thing in the morning, I am detoxing constantly. Orca, detoxing is one of the biggest furphies of the wellness movement. It's what your liver and kidneys do. There's no such thing as detoxing It is absolute nonsense. Okay, you can just believe whatever you want, but I do not consent to fluoride. I exist in nature. I am one with nature. I do not believe anything natural can harm me. Okay, what about, I don't know, brown bears, arsenic, cancer, death cap mushrooms? They're all natural. Listen, Annie, my immune system is there to support me. If I align myself with nature, eat organic, and support my immune system, I will remain well. Okay, but let's say the 1500s, right? The 1500s, humans ate organically. Their bodies weren't full of, I don't know, what you call toxic chemicals, and their life expectancy was, 30 years less. So how do you explain that? Their immune systems were clearly free to do what they wanted. They probably died from medieval knife crime and eating turnips. Turnips? Yes, turnips. They're full of thallium, but they're natural. The thallium comes out. The thallium is present when they're cooked. Right, are you actually making that up? No, I'm not. There's a fallacy called the appeal to nature fallacy, where we naturally assume everything natural is healthy, and it's just not right. Well, it seems to me, Annie, we're just not going to agree on a number of things. But I have really, really enjoyed being on your podcast and selling my message of spirituality and non-toxicity, and just helping your listeners to be in a beautiful state of complete and utter wellness. So please feel free to invite me back again. And I've just got to say, you're looking a little bit peaky. So you might like to maybe put some raw beef into your diet and take some of my colloidal supplements, which I can sell to you for a discount because, we're now like colleagues who will be in the podcast together. So just let me know. Also, your hair is a little bit off. So I think you need something to perk that up, maybe some turmeric. I'd really put some raw turmeric on the raw beef. Anyway, it's been terrific. Thank you so much for having me. You're gorgeous. Thank you. Bye-bye. That was the end of me interviewing myself. It's surprisingly easy for me to get into her head and play her because I've just spent so much time listening to and watching influencers and alternative medicine practitioners spin their stories, so embodying them is pretty easy. So I've worked out along the way there are a number of selling tricks that influencers or spinfluencers like Orca use that turn listeners or watchers into potential clients. So just let me spend the next few minutes unpacking them. So the first thing you may have noticed that Orca is very definite. She's very confident in her delivery. Now, authoritative sounding voices cut through our cognitive defenses. We evolve to form groups and follow the person standing in front of the campfire weaving a compelling story. Someone who sounds authoritative for the time we're listening to them becomes our leader. And our brains are really easily influenced by logical fallacies. Now, logical fallacies are arguments that sound like they're absolutely valid, but they're in fact a lie. And one of the most common of these fallacies is argument from authority. Now, this fallacy is so powerful that in the face of a charismatic individual that's very authoritative at the same time, many people will literally suspend their critical thinking. Someone just has to sound authoritative for our brains to go into the believing mode. And if you add charismatic to that mix, then we have to work very hard to remain skeptical of the offer. And you'll also notice that Orca had a story of her friend's amazing recovery from cancer. By adopting a spiritual practice and alkalizing her diet. This is, of course, utter nonsense, but we're configured to listen to stories. Listening to stories is how we learnt to understand the world. It's how we calibrate it. Right from when we were sitting on our parents' knee. And we're really putty in the hands of good storytellers. In the book Sapiens, which is absolutely brilliant, written by Yuval Noah Harari, he makes a really strong case that it is our capacity to fall in behind a narrative that has distinguished us and allowed us dominion over our planet. I mean, at the moment, what's going on in the United States, narratives spruced by politicians prove that regardless of the veracity of their claims, a large portion of humans have a strong tendency to believe them. People are amazed at how easy it is to convince others of things that are patently untrue. And as I've said before, it doesn't come down to intellect. You're absolutely capable of being fooled, even if you're very, very bright. And we shouldn't be surprised by the whole scenario anyway, because belief comes first, reason comes second. Another trick is that influencers or spinfluencers often use sciencey terms that are in fact meaningless. You'll often hear anti-vaxxers talk with great confidence about people who are vaxxed, shedding spike proteins. Now, this is of course deeply meaningless, but they talk to their anti-vax mates about these spike proteins so repetitively and with such confidence that it begins to sound legit. Now, people trying to sell you something will repeatedly use your name. We really like hearing our name come out of someone's mouth. It has a subtle impact of reflecting intimacy and respect. The other thing that they do is create problems that are actually non-existent so they can be solved. This is a classic tactic used by influencers and the alternative medicine crowd. An acupuncturist will feel your pulses and tell you you've been brewing an infection, and that's why you've been feeling fatigued. If you go looking for fatigue, God knows, you can always find it. So confirmation bias kicks in. Remember, confirmation bias is where our brain cherry picks the environment to reach a conclusion that confirms what you already think. So you end up forming the conclusion that, yes, I have been feeling fatigued. They must be right. Then they sell you a few acupuncture sessions, which are invariably in a quiet, peaceful setting with some sort of Tibetan bell music playing in the background, which gives the whole experience a spiritual feeling which adds to the healing vibes. Then they might add in some Chinese herbs or supplements as an addition to the solving of the medical problem, which is probably non-existent. Also remember that supplements, vitamins and herbs are unregulated and can in effect contain anything, nothing, or something toxic. Another favourite of the wellness crowd is detoxing. Use this detox kit, drink this detox juice, take this detox supplement. Sounds good, huh? Get those pesky toxins out of your body. Let's get rid of them super quick. Except that's what your liver and kidneys are for. And if we were all roaming around with this level of toxification that the wellness community insists we have, we'd all be suffering from kidney failure. It's just wrong. No juice, no supplement has any bearing on your toxicity levels. It's another example of creating a problem so marketing can solve it. So next time a practitioner influencer says, buy this to detox, tell them you have a liver and kidneys, and as far as you know, they're doing just fine. Our health is complicated. Our bodies are complicated. We're all individual. A doctor will often order tests to be done and then try medication with the understanding that it may or may not work. As an asthmatic, when I recently had influenza A, my doctor rang me every couple of days to check on my progress and tweak my medication. He was caring and realistic about my condition, offering a considered response to my health issue, which is what you would expect coming off the back of 7 or 8 years medical training. My doctor, by the way, is Dr. Jack Bromley from the Bargala family practice on the northern beaches in Sydney, which may be too far to go if you're listening in India or Sweden. Thanks for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. But if you're on the northern beaches, he's tops. Anyway, proper doctors understand the complexity of the health issues of human beings, which is why they don't offer simplistic solutions to complex issues. Always be wary if an influencer tells you that they have a cure for 10 different diseases. In their world, the simple cure for autism, digestive issues, cancer, arthritis, weight gain, Parkinson's and ADHD is some mineral that's been dug up in the foothills of Machu Picchu and which Big Pharma is keeping hidden from you so they can push pharmaceuticals on you. But if you buy a bottle of this mineral and eat raw beef, your condition will be cured. Awesome! And you don't just have to believe them. Look at the glowing testimonials from their devoted followers. For only $59.99, this supplement will cure everything and make you thin. Awesome. People often say to me, where's the harm in alternative med? Well, it's time-consuming, expensive, and most importantly, undermines our trust in science-based medicine. How can doctors compete when alternative practitioners are recognising and curing non-existent conditions and promising cures to real conditions which actually require the expertise of a trained doctor? It's good to remember that alternative med spinfluencers are not afraid to lie, and lie they do, which is appalling when you think about it, because anyone struggling with a physical health condition, or struggling with a mental health condition, or struggling to lose weight is vulnerable. Conning these people is despicable. So that's that for this week. I know I didn't actually unpack the notion of conspiracy theories, which Orca has talked about with the business of Hillary Clinton, etc., but it's such a big topic that I'm going to come back in a couple of weeks and have a shot of unpacking why people are so attached to believing in conspiracy theories, which are clearly super duper wacky. Anyway, I'm going to keep coming back to the whole thing. Conspiracy theories, cognitive flaws which infiltrate our brains and influence our decision making, because all these things are insidious and influential in our lives. Stay safe and feel free to email me with any questions you may have. See you later. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into Why Smart Women with me, Annie McCubbin. I hope today's episode has ignited your curiosity and left you feeling inspired by my anti-motivational style. Join me next time as we continue to unravel the fascinating layers of our brains and develop ways to sort out the fact from the fiction and the over 6,000 thoughts we have in the course of every day. Remember, intelligence isn't enough. You can be as smart as paint, but it's not just about what you know, it's about how you think. And in all this talk of whether or not you can trust your gut, if you ever feel unsafe, whether it's in the street, at work, car park, in a bar, or in your own home, please respect that gut feeling. Staying safe needs to be our primary objective. We can build better lives, but we have to stay safe to do that. And don't forget to subscribe, rate and review the podcast and share it with your fellow smart women and allies. Together, we're hopefully reshaping the narrative around women and making better decisions. So until next time, stay sharp, stay savvy, and keep your critical thinking hat shiny. This is Annie McCubbin signing off from Why Smart Women. See you later. This episode was produced by Harrison Hess. It was executive produced and written by me, Annie McCubbin.